Hello and welcome back to episode 6 of the key truck build for MyHondaFix. Today we will be finishing the build. In this episode we will be doing the finishing touches and you will get to see the finished result. However, there will be a couple more episodes, probably one where we will just basically show off the truck a little bit and discuss a few things about it, and then a surprise episode after that with some big news. So stay tuned, keep watching, a few more episodes to come. Let's get into this.
It's hot. Not really. That's pretty fast.
Should we drop it and see?
Look at the house across the street. It's throwing some light.
As you can see here, we finished up the 22-inch light bar that goes in the rear. It's extremely bright. I was very impressed with these lights. Now that we have finished up the 22-inch light bar, we are now going to build the brackets for the side lights. I believe they were 4-inch lights that mount on the sides to project light out to the sides. As always, there's quite a bit of discussion as to exactly how we're going to mount these. We decided to mount them behind the bar and lower, obviously to keep it away from tree branches and things that could hit it. We did check the bed clearance to make sure it was going to clear the 22-inch light and the side lights as well when it was raised and lowered. No issue there. But we did decide to lower the lights and mount them facing outwards. Pushed them out just a hair so that we could get basically the back side of the light would project across and put light out towards the front of the cab a little bit as well. I think that you could go with a bigger side light to get more light in a 360-degree angle, but in the end it projected enough light that all the way around it was great. I mean, they don't project way out into the woods, but they light up the area a good 30-40 feet beside you, so you can see what's around you at all times. One of the things I'm doing now is siliconing the drip tray. Actually, the large light bar in the front, we decided not to drill holes and stuff because we didn't want water to enter in the future. So we just ran the 2 wires with the loom across the inside of that drip tray and used a black silicone to hold it in place. And there's still enough room over the silicone that rain can hit and run down the drip tray with no issues. Now I'm finishing up the wiring loom, basically just getting it all stretched and tucked in place. Putting a little bit, I didn't have much excess, putting a little bit of the excess down into the bottom though and zip tying it out of the way. That's always good to have a little extra if you need to change something or move something in the future. So I always try to add a little bit and just tuck it somewhere hidden, using zip ties to hold it in place. You'll see I do a little bit of touch up. That's the best thing about this camo job. At any point in time, you just have to stencil off a little area around something and you can do a little touch up with no issues at all. Just keep one can of each paint, and touch up is a breeze. If you change a line, it's not that big of a deal. It is camouflage, so as long as you're fluent with the curves, you can do pretty much anything you want. Now I'm going to raise the front end up and go ahead and put the front wheels on. We just hadn't done it. We hadn't had a chance to just get the jack around and pop them on. But while I have the wheel off, you will see I'll go in there and find any white that's still exposed and try to black it out and then install the new wheel. I did have a question about these wheels in the previous episode. Somebody did comment and ask about the wheels. We picked these up locally. Somebody had pulled them off of theirs, and I don't know if these are really for a four-wheeler application. I believe they're for a golf cart application, to be honest. The lug pattern obviously fits and works. The offset was great. We did do 2-inch spacers behind these just to widen the stance a little bit. But the wheels, I don't know what brand they are. You see them everywhere. I think they're a pretty common budget wheel. They're nice. The only thing we changed on the wheel itself is we did change the center cap. They were chrome, so we etched the chrome a little bit and then shot a matte black on there. But the tires are a Super Grip Diamondback, I believe, 23 by 8 by 12. So overall, height on those tires should be around 23 inches. We wanted a more aggressive tread pattern, but for the cost of these tires, it put us well within our budget. So it was a great buy at the time. A little more chrome than we wanted, but they look good. They do the job. They got great tread. So it was the obvious upgrade for the wheels at this time. We will go to probably more of like an ag style or ATV style tread pattern in the future, not the turf tire, but these give you more grip than the factory skinny tires that we have on there. And now we move on to the bed liner, and as you can see in the thumbnail of this episode, the bed liner paints. The first thing I want to do obviously is etch the clear coat that's on the existing paint. I don't know what kind of paint they used, but it is a very durable clear coat. It is very hard to etch, so if you don't get the paint applied correctly, it scratches very easily. So I'm just going to take a little time, etch that paint, and then I will use a little acetone just to basically clean it up so that I can shoot the paint on. Now for the inside of the bed, the four sides, I used a brand called Seymour. It is a very expensive bed liner paint, probably one of the most expensive I think out there, but I'll discuss a little bit of the good and the bad. It does cost quite a bit, but the one can did all four sides. It went an extremely long way. It laid on really well. The overall look was exactly what you want in a bed liner paint, kind of that gritty look. And then the other paint that we used to paint the actual flat part of the bed was Krylon. For budget reasons, we basically went to a cheaper bed liner paint, and it didn't pay off. The Krylon paint had more of a gray tone than a black tone. They used a lot of fibrous material, which when you see me spray the flat part of the bed, you can see it floating around. Even when the video is sped up, you can see chunks of this stuff flying around. It was a mess. But if you look at the front of the bed, when I spray the flat part of the bed liner, it actually puts almost like a gray tint to the black that's already there. I wasn't very impressed with the Krylon. I mean, it's like $7 a can versus I think $20+ a can. But the one can from Seymour did all four sides, so there's no doubt that one can sprays a lot further than one can of Krylon. I didn't check the actual ounces of the cans, so there may be more there. However, it lays on better, as you can see. It lays on really well, it adheres really well, and it looks really good. It compares right up there with the professional stuff that people spray. So if you're going to go this route, I highly recommend spending the extra money. You'll probably buy fewer cans and go with the Seymour brand. Starts with the S, Seymour. And then if you want to go the budget route, the Krylon works. It doesn't look as black in my opinion. It lays on a little different. It does have the rough texture, but it doesn't have that gritty sandpipe texture that most bed liners have. It's a little different. So hands down, I would go for the Seymour. Krylon's a great brand. It lays on, it does its job, but in the end, there's a clear difference between buying a more expensive aerosol. You can see it just lays on really well too. When I'm doing the sides, it goes on so much better. When I do the bed, it takes a lot of work just to basically get a nice even looking coat to go down. This is the last episode of the build. I mean, the key point in this episode really was just finishing up a lot of small stuff. Again, I'll go over, the bed liner paints. We use two brands just basically because the customer had one brand already, and that was the one expensive can. So we said, you know what, we'll see how far it goes on the sides. It made it all the way around, and then we switched to the Krylon because of what we had budgeted out as far as money. It made me nervous. It looked good in the end. Everything worked out, but there's a hands down winner between those two, and it's the Seymour brand paint. If you have any questions, shoot them in the comments. I'll be glad to come back and try to fill in the information later, especially for the next episode, because I'm basically just going to have a video footage of the truck driving around, showing off some different pictures of the vehicle and how it turned out. And here you can see that's the Seymour can, truck bed coating. And then I will show you the Krylon can that you can find at Walmart or anywhere. It's good stuff. It just doesn't hold up against the more expensive cans. Are the more expensive cans worth it? Absolutely, in my opinion. I would definitely go with those. They both seem to adhere very well though. Then one of the final steps we had to do was the customer wanted a tint strip across the front, just kind of prevent sunlight from coming in as much. So you'll see that we cut out and apply a coat of tint, kind of see the way we do it. I don't know if it's a professional way. We're semi-professional amateurs. So we basically clean off the outside of the windshield, lay it on there, trim it out how we want it, and then clean the inside windshield and apply the cutout piece inside. Sometimes you have to trim it a little bit to make it fit on the inside, but usually you get right at the perfect cut if you lay it on the outside, trim it out that way, and then install it on the inside. As you can see, while he's putting on the tint, I'm basically just shooting a little bit of, I think it was flat black onto the bed liner that's going to go back in there. It had a lot of white overspray on it, just from where it had been touched up in the past. Rather than try to clean all that off, just shoot a little flat black on it. It actually held up pretty well. This thing's going to go out in the woods and do a lot of work, so it's going to get beat up, it's going to get scratched up. The camo job is easy to touch up, so it was a great option to go with, but it looks really good in the end. The proof was in the first time I drove it down the road. When I actually drove it to the owner's place, I got so many head turns and thumbs up, and people, when I stopped at the gas station, I got questions, so it was pretty cool. And as you can see, we backed the truck out. It's pretty much finished. I got to do a little touch-up work, like cleaning up the front bumper, but we're backing it out, pretty much complete. I've got to do a few things like finishing the front bumper, basically bringing it back to black, and then there's a couple other little things that we tidy up on it, but hopefully you get to see in the next episode the finished result and what all we put on there, and I'll discuss some of those things as well. Again, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you.